Some say that the pen is mightier than the sword. I think that these brushes are mightier than the sword. You know, the thing about art is what's so good about art is that even the illiterate, can enjoy it. If you can't read, you can still enjoy art. And I think that's the power of what artists have. We spawn emotion, and it's something that not everybody wants to read a novel. And even though I write novels and I write comic books and everything else, I think that the power in art is very important. And today, I'm going to show you how important it is because we've got artist Candice Comelleri here, and she's inspiring. I really want you guys to see who she is because I think she's got I think she understands what it's all about. And so we're going to start with that. I also want to bring in. I've got a new segment that we're doing right now. It's called Ted's Library, and I want to showcase Amy Hale, the author Amy Hale, Neurosis. This is a really interesting book. It does have a few mature things in it as far as mental health and that. So I want you to be aware of that. It's not. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to have. It really depends on you, but I would probably older teens, probably adults. It's probably where I would go with this. Very well done. Makes you think, and that's one thing about Amy's writing is that it's fun, it's entertaining, but it makes you think, and that's the way I write too. Check out Amy Hale. I'll put this in the description as well. But Neurosis, it's it's something to think about. Very very pleased to get this. I'm very happy that I read it. Good job, Amy. So we'll leave that in the description if you want to pick that up. Just click on the link. So thanks so much. So all right, let's begin. Welcome to TED Talks, and this is I'm Ted Davies with Ted Davies Artistry here. We are a variety show that helps creatives. Whether it's my work that I'm doing or I'm showcasing somebody else's work or there are other personalities that I come in contact with in this crazy business. I want to make sure that you guys are understanding what the show's all about. It's not a niche. It is a creative endeavor. That's the way I like to look at it. So, but let's start with the intro. Welcome, everybody. First off, I want to say that we are proud affiliates of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Check out everything that we're doing. Get to their Facebook page, Rising Tide Broadcast Network, and check out everything that we're doing. 7 days a week, we're a group of creatives that help creatives build their business. Got education and entertainment. It's a lot of fun. There's comic books, there's books, there's art, there's a drinking show, I think, somewhere, cigars, you name it. So there's a lot of fun. It's well-rounded, and it's a balance to this crazy world that we live in. So check out everything we're doing on Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We also are sponsored. This particular show is sponsored by Wicked Weeds. Check out everything that Wicked Weeds does. They're also on Instagram under Wicked Weeds Michigan, I think, or Mish. Check out what they do. They are a spice blending dry goods company that also does custom blend teas. So check out everything that they're doing. Very health conscious company. So check out everything there. We're going to let that I guess page we'll leave that up there for the duration of the show. But I want to bring in Candice. Candice, welcome,
Hello.
dear. How are
Thank you? I'm doing really good.
So
I'm glad to be here.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you are here. We were going to try to do this last year, and it just got too crazy with the schedule because of holidays, and then I don't know. There's a few other things that happened, but when did they drop you off on this planet? When did you land here?
Land here August 24th, 1989.
Wow. Okay, now you just made me feel old. I graduated in 89 high school. So anyway,
That's
matter.
just fine.
That's fine. August, you said?
August.
August, awesome. That's cool. My wife's also August, so kudos.
Very nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. She's creative too. So that's
very nice.
It must be now, are you Virgo then?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's it. I get it. I understand. My condolences. You and I met through, I guess, through Brian K. Morse, but through Charles Millhouse,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And one of the things I want to showcase real quick before we get into the whole deal
Sure.
is we we met through Charles because Source Point Press. We ended up Pulp Reality. That was the first book that we were in together, and both of
Yes.
us were artists on this. So, and then for whatever reason, they're crazy enough to let us get into book
Come back
two.
again.
Yeah, so we were in that as well, and then we just got this in the mail. You get your copy yet?
Not yet, but I'm excited.
Okay, I'm sure it'll be there soon.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it is awesome, and you did a really good job in this, and we're in this
Thank
one too.
you.
This one was interesting because, for whatever reason, Charles let me write in this book too, so I got to illustrate and put
Ooh,
my first story together with him. So,
that's exciting.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you, and but yeah, if I get in there, Pulp Reality 3, check it out. Candice and I are both in this, and yeah, it's just awesome. So. Okay, so let's start with okay. You were born. Were you now? You're a Hoosier now, but before that, where'd you land? What?
Bayonne, New Jersey.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
tell her. Okay, so you're an East Coast girl. What?
Hmm.
How'd you end up getting away from that?
Well, the life, I'm not gonna knock New Jersey. I
Yeah,
love New Jersey. It's just the hustle and bustle is a
yeah,
lot if you're not used to it. And
yeah.
my parents felt by the time I turned 10 or 11, it was time because they just had my sister too to move us to a more calm life, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
So my dad ended up finding a job similar to what he was already doing. But before we moved here to Indiana, we moved to Virginia. So I also moved to Newport News, Virginia on the
Oh,
coast.
sure. Yeah, right. And my son went to boot camp there. So yeah, I
Really?
know. Yeah, I know Newport very well.
Yeah, it's not bad there either.
Hmm.
But then after a while, we decided to get up and move again due to my dad's job, and I was still not old enough to decide if I wanted to stay or go. So then we shifted from Virginia all the way here to Indiana.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to knock Indiana, but when you're on
No.
the coast, we don't know anything about the Midwest.
No,
So,
right, right. I understand that. And it's not to your detriment. It's just that's the way it is. We're
yeah.
very I know that spending out time out in Arizona and that even Michigan here, when we're in Michigan, when we're on the coast, because we're
Hmm.
kind of an inland sea, there are huge bodies of water here. I mean, we
Yeah.
live on a Great Lake, and it is different. I mean, it's different going inland. It's weird now. It's weird now, right? So, and
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
really know, and you think it's all farmlands, and you think that there's not really, there's a Dairy Queen or something that's about, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's not a. But I know living on an ocean like that, much like this, it's a different. It's different. It's a
It
destination
is.
spot. A lot of it, and you got a lot of seasonality too. You got a lot of people that vacation on the
Hmm.
coast, and that's the way it is here. It's very to its fault, I think sometimes. But when did okay, so you got here. What was like your first job? Did you go to private school, public school?
Well, when I first got here, I started working at Walmart,
That's cool.
which tends to be a lot of people's first job. So,
Sure.
I did retail for a long time, and
Yep.
then I went to school at Indiana State University.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
That's good. Well, I
yeah.
mean, that's huge. What'd you major in?
Fine arts. I got a
Awesome.
bachelor's in fine arts and a minor in art history.
Check you out. Well, and I went to school for fine art and architecture too. And I
Very
think that
nice.
fine art is such a, and we'll talk about that too, the job searching and all that and trying to, um, y- the thing I love about art history, was my professor, Professor Dufour. He ruined art in some respects for me because he told me who Picasso was, really who he was.
Yep.
That whole thing that he would go into the depths of these people's personality and these ideologies, and I'm like, "Ugh." And it was. How did you feel when you did it ruin it for you, or was it? Um,
I don't think it ruined it for me as
mhm.
much as it helped me understand who these people were and where they were coming from, of why they made certain choices they did. Sort of like one of my all-time favorite masters will always be Caravaggio.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
And his work with light and dark and atmosphere just always just resonated with me. And then you learn more about this man, and then it kind of you're like, oh, it kind of makes sense why his stuff got a little more interesting in this direction. And
Yeah.
um, I know sometimes when we learn more about people, it can either like, ooh, I didn't know this person like that, and man, now I don't like their art. I mean, we can
Right.
look at like that, but I think it makes their art more beautiful in a way, even if they are messed up. I know that
Hmm.
might sound messed up, but I
Hmm.
think it's integral to know them to understand their art.
I understand that. I get that. And it's hard. I think it says more, and maybe that's the problem with where we're at in the world. Maybe we don't look at, even though we don't like other people's ideologies and that, it's maybe that's our rub. That's how we're trying to, that's how we get through it.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I know that there's, there, I talk about this before. Claude Monet, the lily ponds and what happened,
Oh
the
yeah.
construction and the destruction of what happened around him to create
Mhm.
these ponds, and how many people I mean, the farmlands and everything else. It was the farmers that what they went through as these waters were diverted, and I mean, it goes on and
Oh.
on. To what expense, um, and then can you separate the artist and the art? I mean, it's a really interesting concept, but that was one thing about art history that I loved, but I hated in the same respect because you
Yeah.
live in this bubble.
And you can't
Um,
go back either and
no, you can't.
unknow, you know.
Right, right, right. And one of my favorite ones is my dad was an artist anyway, pretty prevalent artist here in Detroit, and he really turned me on to El Greco. I really,
Yeah.
really liked El Greco, and I don't know if maybe that's why I like Mike Mignola with Hellboy. I don't know if it's very similar. Everything's very
Mhm.
stretched out and it's got shadows. Um, I don't know, but El Greco always spoke to me for some reason. Van Gogh too, but you know, um, who was besides Cavaggio? Who else would be your?
Van Gogh for
Yeah,
sure. I was
yeah.
heavy into the expressionists.
Mm,
It was during my time when I was starting to learn myself as an artist. I
hmm.
found out art has been an outlet for me, and to find out that people like Van Gogh, who behind the scenes was going through so much turmoil,
Yeah.
and I don't mean just with the cutting of the ear and his roommate and stuff. I mean, these outlets are so important. So I really took to all the expressionists because they were using what they felt on the inside and
Hmm.
showing it on the outside. I think that was a wonderful and magical.
I
So
agree.
for yeah, so it's definitely the expressionist movement as a whole
Awesome.
has been such a big deal for me.
That's cool. And
Yeah,
I was talking to Glenn a couple days ago on our new podcast. I'm putting a plug here, Comics
sure.
Unlimited. Comics Unlimited podcast on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Here on this channel. But we were talking about the I don't really I'm trying to think now what exactly how it was put, but we were talking about how certain artists they just speak to you. It's not a
Hmm.
it's just I don't even know if we did it on air. I think it was very something we might have been talking off air, but the the biggest thing about all of it is can we see each other? Can we see ourselves in the work or in that process? I had uh I had a huge amount of respect for Van Gogh, and then especially after learning that he used to chew on his brushes and he possibly had lead point. There was all these
Yeah,
things that happened, and that's the beauty of art history. I think that to tell a story that isn't necessarily uh, what everybody knows about it, and I love that. Not
yeah.
making things up, but well, that's cool. All right, so we got some similarities in that. We like that. Um, so where when did or why did you decide to get into art or fine art? Were you drawing earlier in high school and as a kid with crayons and stuff, or was it something that you really wanted to?
My earliest memory was I had this coloring book, and all I wanted to do was copy the images to see how close I could get to just a simple line art.
Yeah.
Um, Before I knew it, I was doing that every single day. So that was at 4 or 5 years old.
Hmm.
And I don't know what it was, if God had just told me or what, but it was something I fell in love with and never stopped
Yeah, some
since I've been 5.
divine intervention. Yeah, and I was drawing. Well, my dad, like I said, my mom was kind of an artist too, to her
Hmm.
own right, but my dad was very much an artist. Uh, what's your favorite medium?
Um, I have to say acrylic paint,
Yeah.
paint and chalk pastels.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Cool.
Anything with color. Like I am obsessed and love color.
Yeah. What is your favorite color? Do you have one?
It used to be green, and I think
Yeah.
I'm still at green, but I'm leaning towards purple.
That's cool. Yeah,
But then I just
indigo child, huh? A little bit.
yeah, a little bit
That's
of
cool.
everything.
That's cool. That's cool. My wife's a super everything's green. I mean, even her business, her
Nice.
hyper green Jeep. I mean, it's like a highlighter on wheels. I mean, it's super bright. That's the way it is with her. Um,
Hey,
and
live
that's
out
cool.
loud.
Right, exactly. Right. So, you can't get away with anything in that car. You can't speed, you can't, but I get it. But I think colors, I felt I always Chris's brother is, colorblind,
Okay.
and w how much he's robbed of all the beauty that we see. Now they've got the conversion glasses and that, thank God.
Mhm.
But man, what a y this morning, one of the greatest things that living here on the coast is the sunrises. It's absolutely beautiful. This
Oh yeah.
morning was, and it's only like for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then it changes again. Incredible, incredible color. I couldn't imagine, um, not being able to see that, and just seeing grays, and that's fine. I'm a big, black and white and gray
Yeah.
artist too. Even my background here, my backdrop is, gray and black and white, but, yeah, the color is so important. Um, all right, so do you have a favorite, movie that showcases artists? Have you seen the new movie about Van Gogh with Willem Dafoe? Have you seen
I
that one?
have not seen that
That's
yet.
good. You need to watch. I think it's on Netflix. Check it out. It's really good.
Do you know
It's
what it's
really
called by chance?
No, that'd be too easy.
I'll have to check it
We'll
out.
have to
Yeah,
look it up.
that's
I forgot what it
amazing.
is, but it is. Willem Dafoe is fantastic.
I love William Dafoe.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's a great actor. So, but check it out. It's very. I'm telling. It's something you probably want to watch like on a snowy day, or it's that kind of. It's very not dry, but it's very true to
Wow.
what he went through. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good. So check that out. Do you have is there any artist movies or anything that or documentaries or anything you've seen that are
The only one that could stand out to me is not necessarily over an artist, but it's a movie called The Artist.
okay?
It was came out a long time ago and it was completely silent and all it had was visuals.
Oh
Like
yes, yeah, I remember that now. Yes,
that was one of the ones that stuck out to me big time and it
yeah,
stayed with me. I
and
went to the theater to see it and I'm like, I wonder how this is going to hold up
right.
because sitting in a theater you're used to sound, it was amazing.
For
Like
the
it carried,
masses, yeah, right.
yeah,
And they only said one word at the end, right?
yep,
It was yeah, I remember that now. And it was in the heyday of Hollywood too. It was set
mm-hmm,
up, and that was a I really enjoy black and white movies for that reason. Noir or anything.
yes, me
Ironically,
too.
we're in Pulp Fiction together, or Pulp Reality, but yeah, very
Yeah,
noir. Um, all right, so you ended up, drawing, all through school, high school, then you got into art classes, all that.
mm-hmm,
When did you make the decision to go to, uh fine arts school? Was it like, "Okay, well, this is my opportunity," or, "I
yeah.
guess I'll go for this"?
It
What
was it was I knew I wanted to go to college. All along my first dream was to be a Disney animator
Yeah,
and I was trying to go to school for the more digital art.
yeah,
And I got in and in the beginning they make you do your gen ed classes and then
mhm,
just a little bit of the subject you want to go for. Well, as I kept going in school, I was doing more and more digital and I was good at it, especially with design. But there was something calling to me that although I'm not going to knock any digital artists because digital art is beautiful in its own right,
mhm,
but there's nothing like having the paint and brush in your hand and physically doing it. And from that moment on, when I had that moment in college that clicked, I'm like, I want to go for the studio route, the more fine arts where I'm physically touching and doing. And
yeah,
that's all she wrote.
mhm.
I'm like, I love this. And I just, boom,
That's
went
great, and
straight for fine art. Yeah.
I think that I'm with you on that. I was trained, traditionally in
Hmm.
architecture, drafting, and, all that right before the computers came into right into movement, and then I was in the computer for years, but I always did traditional, and I still think that, my watercolor work, and it's a one-off. I mean, I can always digitize it and do things to
Hmm.
it, manipulate it on top of that, but, and I've talked to many artists that are traditional artists that we feel the same way, and and we've got a tangible piece of art versus the digital, and there's to sell or whatever,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's a good balance. I'm a big time proponent of traditional. I do not knock digital at all. I think digital is
Yeah,
great. In fact, I'm getting into more the next books that I'm doing are going to be more digital. So, and I'm hoping I can mesh the hybrid of the art together. But
that'd be really nice. Yeah.
I hope so. Do you have a favorite piece of art that you've done over the years?
Oh gosh, do I have a favorite? No, not necessarily. I just recently it's been more pop culture things. I'm trying to
Yeah.
learn how to do portraits better. It's
Hmm.
something when I was younger, I remember going to my grandpa's house and like, can you help me draw this eye? Because I can't do it. He didn't do anything with art,
Hmm.
but he tried and then I kept practicing. And so with comic books, when I got into the con scene, I found
Yep.
out about Alex Ross.
Yep. Yep.
And I really look up to him because his portraits and would you put his the way he lays out his art
Yeah.
is
It's
beautiful.
unbelievable, really. Yeah.
And he's somebody I look up to. So recently I've been trying to do more portraits. I got like a couple here I've
Yeah.
done.
Let's see. I'm gonna
Um,
bring you up full screen.
sure. So this one was of my best friend Kiwana. And I stopped doing portraits for a while, but
That's beautiful.
thank you.
I love the colors on that. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, I'm a color fiend. And
Yep.
the texture of the hair and stuff, like I'm trying to do all different ethnicities and
Hmm. That's good.
backgrounds and
Not an
so,
easy thing to do. You know,
no.
when we're not because we look at in the mirror, we look at our hair and we're very used to that. But it's
Yeah,
harder, I think, when we're not uh we're not of that, you know, background. You know, it's very hard.
absolutely.
Very hard.
And then I just recently did this one of the new Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, cool. How do
So
you
I'm
I like it. See, I dig in the colors big time. How did you
thank
like it?
you.
How did you like Bebop? How was it?
Oh
Did you
boy, you
like it?
trying to get me in trouble?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I so when it comes to the Netflix shows or anime, I take
Yeah.
them each as they are.
Right.
I appreciate the show for what it was, but it's not the anime. I think the anime did a better storytelling
I
and
agree.
arc,
Yeah. And I
but
think
I'm
it's
not
hard
hating
because
on it.
live action's very hard when you're trying to switch that over.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
to adapt it,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
But I think
I'm dealing with that right now in Hollywood, trying to figure out how, Craig Hall's got my book
yeah,
and it's bringing such a new life to the story. So it's
that's
good.
so cool.
And they're both side by side. They're both on
Yeah.
their own, you know what I mean? Same idea, but man. So yeah, but I can see where Bebop that would have been because it had such a following. I mean,
Mhm.
it's such in our conscious as what it is,
Yes.
um, for so long, and then now they're I don't know. I think it was a good valiant effort, but
But I have to say John Cho or Chow, I'm sorry if I'm
yeah,
butchering that up, and the
yeah,
guy who played Jet Black. The guy who played Jet Black, he did phenomenal. I
good.
felt like I was
Yeah,
watching.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
amazing.
that's good. That what do you think about Netflix and all the rest of the streaming services doing do you think that it's a money grab or do you think it's I think stuff Disney's put out is great. I mean, that Disney's is trying to do right now is fantastic with Boba Fett and everything else. I think it's great.
Yeah.
For me though, I'm the 77,
Yeah.
Star Wars original. I was 6 years old when it came out. It's been in my life for my whole life and my kids too.
See, and I think you get the privilege to like look at it a little bit heavier hand than
Absolutely. It's a
others.
privilege is the best word.
Yeah.
That is the best word.
Um, so I like Disney, the streaming service. I love Disney. I think they don't really put anything bad out. Even I know they took over Marvel now and
Yeah.
Star Wars, but
Yep.
even their spin-off shows have been quality that I can get behind. Even with the
Mhm.
Boba Fett show that came
Yep.
out,
Yep.
and even the Mandalorian.
Yeah, Mandalorian, I'm all about. Yeah, all
I
about.
never thought I'd like a spin-off show of Star Wars, but
No,
I couldn't stop watching Mandalorian. Like
no,
I'm
I
like,
did
this
too.
is
We
good.
went through and then the ending. I mean, come on, right? I mean,
Yes.
and for us, I mean, yeah, I mean, we would wait 4 or 5 years between movies, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
It sucked, and it was like we'd have the action figures. That was fine. It was great, but man, it took forever. So, and it was at the, it was now it's like a year we wait and it's too long.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I know that's the mindset of right now, instant what is it,
instant gratification. Yeah,
gratification.
yeah, that's right. Do you feel that where do you think that art and comic books and everything else? Where do you think it's going to go as far as digitally? Do you think I think that there's always going to be books. I honestly think that's always going to be books there. But
I absolutely believe there'll always be books because even now, we're going to go into the newspaper versus digital. Like
yeah,
I mean, the newspaper thing is dying out, but there's still people who want to hold books in their hands. And
Yeah.
I think that comic books or graphic novels with art, or even those books that have the art anthologies of just someone's
Yeah.
art,
Yeah.
are beautiful, and they're pieces of work in themselves just to have that book. So I think the future of art is, well, there'll always be printout books for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's going to be more digital, of course, but then if you look back at even the more things now, cover artists or
Mhm.
even pieces in graphic novels, they always try to get traditional art in there too.
Yeah.
So I think there will always be this marriage of digital and traditional art. I don't think you'll ever see traditional art ever go anywhere.
I agree. I think that's sound.
I mean, I do miss the old school comics where it was just line art, but I do appreciate digital art too.
Yeah, I do too. Sometimes I look at it, if the story's not, and I've said this before on my shows, sometimes if the story stinks, you're just putting lipstick on a pig. I mean, it's not, some of this art is like so over the top, so overdone, and it's beautiful, but it's like the story is terrible. I would rather have a good story and stick figures than,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I've gotten some
Mhm.
flack for that, but it's like, that's the truth. I think that's the absolute truth. Storytelling's everything. I would rather look at a cave painting and know the story, even though it was a primitive painting. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, okay, I digress. Let me go through my notes here. I
Sure.
want I want to make sure that people understand that you didn't come out of the gate working in the field. So
No.
so tell everybody a little bit about the job
Uh,
search and all that fun stuff.
so the truth is, being an artist isn't always pretty. I mean, it was literally a starving artist for a long time, and right now I still hold a regular job,
Hmm.
9 to 5 job. But I do want to say that if there's anybody watching this or anybody out there that wants to be an artist, even though you're working full time, don't give up. Keep pushing, because it's right at that moment you're going to stop. That it's right where you would have been to push you over.
Yeah.
This is what I tell people. It's a big thing of networking.
Mhm.
Um, I even have friends now that I work with that like to write and do things like, well, what can I do? Get out there, show
Yeah.
yourself. I mean, it's a great idea to think that the universe and the world is just going to magically have something fall in your lap. And sometimes
Mhm.
it happens because
Mhm.
it's a blessing. But a lot of the times you have to go out there and get it and promote yourself, show
Yeah.
yourself. Don't be afraid to do that. Make friends, network, because like me and you met,
Mhm.
it was through a third party who met
Yeah.
through someone else
Right.
completely.
Exactly.
um,
I mean, and
so
collaboration's important too. There's nothing wrong with
absolutely.
collaboration, and networking, I think, is key. I think you're
Yes.
absolutely right. And you have to have the other one of the things about this business too, you gotta be careful in any business is that,
Hmm.
keep your eh, you're gonna have to come to a point where you're gonna have to release the things out to the world. You're gonna
Yes.
have to. And, copying and things like that are gonna happen. You do everything you can to keep your
Yeah.
intellectual property to yours, but you have to be able to put it on Instagram, get it out there so that you got to expose it to the world because I mean, you might inspire somebody. That's the
Yeah.
only way I could say it. You might inspire somebody.
And not everybody's going to like you either. And that is
Right.
absolutely okay.
Absolutely.
Um, you got to do and
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sound arrogant about it, but there's no matter how many artists are in this world and how many come, there's a space for everybody.
There is. There's no lack when it comes to
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I agree. You're just making the world a better place.
absolutely.
So what would be your jumping off point? Okay, so the balancing, and I tell people this too. On a side note here, you're one video away or one piece of artwork away from striking it, from
Yep.
getting there. All it takes is just one, and then it just goes off like like a bomb. It just
Yeah.
takes off. So, as far as your tipping point, to say, would you go keep full time, work at it, do your evenings, do your weekends, whatever, promote, get to Comic Cons or whatever you're doing, whether it's artwork or books or whatever?
Hmm.
Would you say um, keep working that towards a part time gig and then to full time art if you can do that, or
Yeah.
how would you structure it? I mean,
That
it's nice having the bills paid. I get that. So, but
Yeah, I think it's all about making a strong foundation. I wish I made enough to be full time, and that's my goal. Like, don't lose sight of that. And I'm trying not to.
Mhm.
Like, it's totally possible.
Yeah,
It might
absolutely.
take a lot of work to get there, but it's possible.
Yeah, it is.
So I
It
would,
totally
yeah.
possible. I'm telling you, it is.
So,
And it,
I'm,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're good.
I know that people are. Everybody's got their own, whether it's car payments or whatever.
Hmm.
It's all there. So I mean, figure out your economics, and then, you know, what is your goal? Do you want to have that big house, or do you need it? Do you
Right.
need, or what if you live a little bit simpler, you know, and then produce work? It's all balance, you know, and
I'd
that's, I
rather
think,
be super happy in a content life doing what I love and have maybe the bare minimum than have everything.
I agree.
Because I've watched something not too long ago. It was an interview with like millionaires and those who've
Hmm.
made it, if you will.
Hmm.
And they're like, after you get to a certain point, the money don't really make you any more happier
Mm-mm,
anyway.
doesn't. I've designed houses for people that are miserable,
Yeah,
absolutely miserable people. I mean, and everything that they do is to impress the guy next door. They did,
absolutely.
you know, the bigger car. I mean, it just, it never ends.
But when
And
do you live for
and they're,
you?
yeah, yeah,
When it's about what makes, you can have everything in the world, and if you're not finding your happiness from within first, nothing else is going to
right,
matter.
right. And I've said this before too. I think that it's important, and not everybody's like this, but I think it's important to share.
Yeah,
You have to be able to, um, like I said, promote others. That's why we do this TED Talks.
yeah,
That's why we've got to be able to. And I see a lot of lonely, a lot of lonely people, if you want to call it that, that are just, man, you know, they've died years ago. They're still
yeah,
alive, but there's no, they're just miserable, and it's
yeah.
so sad. No matter what the bank account states. And I think that that's our luxury, what we've got, because as an artist, I think that we can filter that and maybe bring it into our work to build awareness of, what I look at my byproduct is happiness. I try to anyway, and
Yeah.
that's, or intellect, something that when you're reading my stories or that you're looking at my artwork, you're getting something out of it, and you're thinking about, oh, you're making it look a little bit differently at life. Um, what do you like drawing the best? Do you like flowers? Do you like? I know one of the coolest things. Let me tell you, everybody, you ended up doing these. They weren't Barbie dolls. I guess they were figurines.
Oh
They were,
yeah.
they were so cool. They
They
were
were porcelain
so,
statues.
yeah, they're so cool, and that was really cool. But first off, let's talk about what do you like
Sure.
drawing the best or most fun, and then we'll talk about those.
Well, I actually got another picture. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I'm glad you
So
brought them.
when I first started Comic Cons, I was doing more pop art stuff with
Yeah,
like the celebrities.
sure,
But then I'm like, I want to do more of what I want to do when I'm
sure.
not doing cons. So I did this cute little cat in a space suit
That's cool. That's fun.
with flowers. So I
That's
want to,
cool.
yeah. So I'm trying to do more abstract, like, okay, this is crazy. This chick got a cat with an astronaut helmet and some
That's cool.
flowers.
Listen, I could, you know what, I could and I'm not knocking this at all. I could totally see that on a birthday card or something like that, made
Yeah.
into mass produced. Yes,
Makes me
absolutely.
happy.
Yeah,
Like,
that's good though. That's awesome.
but when
That's
I'm
awesome.
not doing things like that, like when I do the cons, I do tend to do more pop culture stuff, but
Yeah.
I like to do things that are nostalgic for people
Mm,
because I was doing the shows to be get out there, get my name known. But then when you're sitting there and you start interacting with people, it becomes so much more than just who you are. It's
yeah.
about the interaction you're having with these people around you. And I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many conversations I had between family members of them fighting each other if they remember this cartoon from the
Right.
19
Or how they
whatever.
remember it. Yeah, how they
Yeah.
remember it.
And
Yeah.
those moments are super beautiful and magical to me. And
Mhm.
I try to do art that'll stir something inside people, and I love it.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And as far as the figurines went, my
Mhm.
mom was a big Royal Dalton fan, and in England, Royal Daltons are these really expensive China figurines, and they're
Yeah.
limited edition and all this stuff. Um, and yeah, it was always like never get near them. It was our whole family had them, right?
Mhm.
Yours though, I mean, are they a dollar store find, or what were they? Were
They're a
they
garage sale find.
awesome? Even better,
And
even better.
I love them in their original form because it was like aristocratic kind of
Yeah,
statues where they were just something drew them to me. They were only $1 for sure.
that's great. That's
But I'm
awesome.
like, what can I do to make this different? And I
Mhm.
love refurbishing and repurposing
Oh, me
things.
too. We're big time into that. I'm a big
Yeah.
retro guy anyway. All my the whole house is all retro furniture,
That's so
fine. So
cool, yeah.
but we did that on purpose. We got rid of everything before we moved up in the small cottage, and it's everything. My drafting tables from the 1940s. That's, and I'm not saying like snobby 1940s. This is like an
No.
industrial table. I found from a guy that was moving to Africa, and he was getting rid of everything and that kind of stuff. I love that. Very shabby chic architecture. That's the
And
way Christine and I are. So.
yeah, and they made things back then to last.
Oh, big time. And
So
it's
that's
and
another
and it's
beautiful
not going
thing.
into a landfill. I mean, it's not,
Yes.
I agree with you 100%. You don't happen to have one of those figures, do you?
I can go get it real
No,
quick.
that's
Okay,
okay.
I
I mean,
don't
it's
have
up
it
to
by
you.
me,
Whatever
but
whatever you want. No, it's fine. Well, anyway, if you guys, it's on your Facebook, right? Or your
yeah.
Instagram? Yeah, so check that out. That's cool. Because they're really cool and it's really creative. I've got a friend, Erin DeBeck. Shout out to Erin. She's fantastic. And they're big fans of my the to my right here is one of the skull cap series that I sell. I sell a ton of these skulls, these drawings of these skull
Yeah.
caps, and they're huge fans of it anyway. But Aaron started doing these burlap, I guess they're burlap masks that she puts on these mannequins, and they're
Wow.
selling like crazy.
For
And they
burlap?
and they look so good. They're a little bit like the Scarecrow from Batman, but they're
Oh,
really
that's cool.
gnarly. They're
Yeah.
so cool, and they're painted, and then she's done these Barbie dolls that she's reclaimed, and just, I mean, and done in a real goth, just badass. It's so cool.
Love
So
that.
I'm all about, yeah, I'm all about reclaiming and doing something that's making it different, totally
Yeah.
changing it just a little bit, or honoring the people that originally built it, or originally, maybe keeping it original, maybe one or
Mhm.
two pieces, but I'm totally about that. So good on you. Um, Cigar boxes, I do that a lot too. I do a lot of,
Nice.
I make them into take old comic books that are torn to crap. I can't do anything with. They're not worth anything anymore. Decoupage the heck out of them, and I sell a ton of them because they're looking for the nostalgia, but they want to have something for their change or whatever. And
Yeah.
they're simple, and I'm not making this isn't like a major Ted investment time wise, but it's fun, and it's unique. So, and it gets
Yeah, and it's
people
a
at the
nice
table.
break. Yeah, and it's a nice
Yeah,
break from what you normally do. Yeah.
exactly. Right. And I'm not, and again, it's not a cash grab. It's something that I'm trying
Yeah.
to, there's a lot of intent that goes into it. So, where do you see, well, let me ask you this. How you like the interaction with people and everything else?
Mhm.
You and I've never met in person because of COVID and everything
Right.
else. So, and I talk openly about COVID on a lot of
That's
levels
fine.
here.
Yeah.
How has it affected you? How is things? I mean, not just physically, if we ended up getting it or whatever. We had it a couple years ago when it first came out. You know, when it first hit the list. First hit the, we
Yeah.
were pretty sick. But now we're in a different ball game. But how has it affected you? We haven't been able to do show. I haven't been able to do a show in 2 years, over two
Oh, yeah,
years.
it's been
So
like 2 or 3 years now,
it's been
and
crazy.
that's like this year. I'm like, "Oh, maybe this will be the year to get back out and do it," and then shows are canceling, which is okay. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not upset
I
about
would
it. They're doing
rather. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
they're
Yep.
doing what's best for everyone, and you can only thank them for that, and that's
Yeah. Right.
wonderful.
Right.
So I don't think I'll be doing many shows this year, or I'll just wait to see.
To see what
But
happens. Yep.
in a mental space rather for COVID. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, we're going through a pandemic. It's hard to see so
Yeah.
many people go through passing away or
Hmm.
getting real sick. And I mean, even people close to me got it and
Yeah.
got sick, and it's hard to watch and see.
Sure.
Somehow I've been able to manage mentally getting through it. I guess it might have been my art because I surely been digging into it a lot deeper than
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. So that's a great outlet in that respect. Yeah. But
And everything
it could be a real head trip. I'm with you on that.
it is, and sometimes I can't do anything, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you do? I mean, I know it was and I talked about this on TED Talks too. When we went to California in September, I was, I mean, I hadn't been out of the house in forever. You know what I mean? It
oh
was
man,
like
I
Chris and
know.
I, and Chris is working outside the house and everything. We're both vaxxed. And I mean, I had to make sure everything was in line for this to happen.
Yeah.
And it was overwhelming to get on the plane. I mean, it was really, but it made me do it. And
Hmm.
it was very, just the concept of doing these things is very overthinking it, having anxiety and everything else like that anyway. But then, on top of it, I do see a silver lining. I think that we're going to
Yeah.
be okay. Right now, it's not, but I think in time we're getting it'll get to the point where it's a balance. We're just going to have to deal with it.
I feel that way
Um,
too. Yeah.
and but I'm with you. If they feel like they should close it down and not have the con and then do it months later, that's great. No problem.
Yeah, we don't need anybody else in harm's way.
No,
It's
no. And you know what? I mean, this is if people want to see us, I tell you what, we've had the best year of last year, and we didn't do any shows. So I don't,
yeah.
so it's all how you look at it.
But then we got technology like this that can really
Absolutely.
connect us still together. So
Absolutely.
that's so nice
And
too.
we've got crowdfunding and we've got all these other things that we can
Yeah.
do. So how do you weigh it? My biggest thing is the mental uh, stress that it's put on. A lot of us go through it. It doesn't matter how successful or whatever, if you're struggling or whatever, it's hard to get through the day. And painting does help. Helping other
Yeah.
people helps. Sharing somebody else's work, it does help. I
Yeah,
know it
even if
sounds
you can't do
corny.
your own, share someone else's or invest in somebody else's, that
Yeah.
will make you feel better. I know some people say that when you're in a block because of what's going on around you
Mhm.
to push, that's when you really got to push. But then I also learned, yeah, sure, you got to push, but then you also got to make sure you're taken care of. And it's okay to have downtime and it's
Yeah.
okay to make sure you get back to where you need to be before you do anything.
Yes. I agree.
Because then the anxiety alone can drive you mad thinking, oh no, I'm supposed to be doing this, but
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
getting nothing done.
Yep.
So
But
you need to
right.
take care of you first.
Yep. And I don't consider that procrastination. A lot of people say, "Oh, you can't procrastinate, you're going to lose money." Yeah, I can see that point, but you have to be able to, and us as creatives, sometimes it's not 8 to 5.
Right.
Sometimes I don't start until 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a drawing because I'm not there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm just not there. And I know a lot of writers, some of them get right up the first thing in the morning, they're writing all day long. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that.
Right.
I don't. And I think that that's normal for creatives. I think that we're
Hmm.
all in the same boat. So this year, then you think once things subside a bit, and then you'll be able to get it back into cons and that, or are you're gonna wait?
I got a few shows planned out as long as they
They
continue
don't.
to go. I want to go
Right.
to. Like the Suzuki Con, it just got postponed. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm still excited for that. Superman Celebration.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one
that
of the
one
ones I'm gonna check out. I know that
you
everybody talks
should.
about it on our,
Yeah.
talk on our shows. Yeah, I definitely want to check that out.
It's an amazing group of people.
That's in Metropolis,
Illinois.
is Illinois. It is.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. What a what a shtick they've got. Man,
Yes.
that's crazy. Um, what's your favorite show every year?
Superman
It
Celebration.
is. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
no joke.
What
It
what
feels like a
makes
second family.
Yeah, cool. How did you go last year or no? I know
I
that
didn't. I haven't gone the past 2 years.
Brian said he went and then he was kind of like, yeah, it was warm, it was really hot. It was a lot of, but I'm gonna definitely check that out, especially if
Yeah.
there's a group of us down there. And like I said, once things start settling down a bit, I think that this is gonna be a normal, it won't be to this extreme, but I think it's gonna be a normal thing that we're gonna have to go through. That's just
Yeah.
it. So, and it'll level off eventually.
Yeah, we just got
Um,
to adapt, and I think we can
yeah, I think, and I
as a
know we will.
society.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think we will. And I have a lot of hope for society. I'm seeing a lot of
Me
good
too.
things. I try to curate what I'm watching, and when I'm, digesting, with the news and everything. But I think that I'm very much an optimist when it comes to that.
Me too.
What are you working on right now? What are you working on? Artwork? You
Ooh.
doing comic books? What are you doing?
So currently, you had an interview with her, Lacey Lembeck. I hope
Yes,
I pronounced her name.
absolutely. Yep. Lacey Lemke. Lacey Lemke. Yep.
Lemke.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
So we're doing a children's book together,
Awesome. Yes.
and I can show you what I already showed on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yep.
So this was a concept cover for "I Want to Live at the Zoo." It's
That's
not quite
great.
done yet, but this
That's
is
awesome.
one
The
of the
colors are
covers.
awesome, man.
Thank
What are
you.
you using for the color?
Acrylic paint,
You are? Okay, good.
and then this is the first
Yeah, I saw
page.
that one. That's really,
Yeah, it's
really
not
cool.
done yet, but it's still in
Yeah,
progress.
love it.
But that's basically what I'm focusing on. It's my first children's book, and I didn't realize um, how much it took
Yeah,
to do this. And she's been super patient with me.
good. Well, she speaks very highly of you, and
I really
she
appreciate.
does.
I love
So,
her. Yeah.
yeah, I think she's had a lot of exciting things happen this year too,
Oh
with
yes.
screenplays and all these other things.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, it's so great. And it goes to show you too. And I told people this, and I talked about this last 2 weeks ago with Keisha Acuff.
Mhm.
there, you guys, I mean, you're in a bigger city, but a lot of these people that you can do this anywhere. It
You
doesn't,
can.
you don't have to, you can be in a rural setting. I'm in a rural setting. I mean, I'm in a, on a Great Lake, but I'm still in a rural setting. You guys can do this. There's no, there's no capacity where you can't make it work here.
And you don't need a ton of supplies. You don't need all this grandiose things to get
No.
started. Just get started right where you are.
Yep. Absolutely. Plug
Don't
into a
let
good
none stop you.
forum, good forum like Rising Tide or one of these other
Yeah.
forums that are healthy and they're productive for other people, and everybody's, ideologies at the door. You don't have to
Mhm.
think about, you want to help everybody, have empathy and compassion. That's all you need, really.
Oh, yes.
Um, that's awesome. I'm glad that we had a talk. I know
Me
that
too.
what's your, on acrylics, is there any brand that you use that you like better than others, or is it just whatever?
So this might be taboo or whatever, but I
No,
use the apple barrel paints from Walmart.
that's great. No,
Yes.
listen, listen, I have no problem with that at all. There's certain things that I found, whether you go to Hobby Lobby, whatever, Walmart, whatever. I mean, use them if they, I've got a few things. I forget the name of them now. I can't even remember. I've got, and there's other ones. The watercolor ones that I've got are more expensive, but
Yeah.
yeah, the acrylics. I mean, yeah, go for it. I
And I
just
like
use.
these because you can water them down and make them look like watercolor too. That's why I
Right,
like them so
exactly.
much. So,
Yeah, you can reduce them, and yeah, and that's great. And that's the key too. I mean, I see people that, they go out and spend all this money, in art school, how much we paid for,
oh
how
my
much my
God.
parents
Yeah.
paid for drafting materials and paints, and it was unbelievable. It was a racket. It was a real racket. So if we got an opportunity, I wish that we had, when I was a kid, opportunities to go and get things like from this at Walmart and stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't have that when I was we didn't know what foam core, we could only get that at the school. You know what I mean? Years ago, this
Yep.
is decades ago.
Yeah.
Now it's like off the shelf, a buck.
Mhm.
Awesome. I'm all about that.
Absolutely.
Um, and I'm excited for new artists that are coming up now. Kids that are literally kids that are doing the digital, but they're also doing traditional. And I think that you're part of that um, movement. You're continuing things, and that's what
Yeah.
I appreciate about you. I think that you've got a lot to. And one other thing I wanted to say too, you're very deliberate when you draw. When you draw a line, and when you're on, like when you're doing things, you're very like literally deliberate on your strokes and everything else. I
Mhm.
love that because that's the way I am. And it's not all artists are like that. You see a lot of
Right.
artists that are very, um, if you want to call it tender with their sketching, they're
Yeah.
very, and I see some of them on YouTube. I'm like, just put that pencil to the paper. You know
Time
what I
to
mean?
commit,
And
okay?
exactly. God, I mean, they build up and it looks great when it's done,
Yeah.
but it takes them like 5 hours to get. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have the patience for that. I just want
Yeah.
to just reach through the screen.
Well, that was like for my let me see if I have it here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're
Um
good.
so for the first pulp reality was this octopus one I did,
Yeah,
the for
right. That's
Kelly
exactly what
Austin.
I'm talking about. Yeah,
So I was sitting out, don't get me in trouble, but I was at work and I was on break and I was like, what am I gonna do for this drawing? And I just started scribbling with a pen
yeah,
and it just came out.
that's right.
And I never even really used pen and ink before. So that whole drawing's a pen and ink.
Yeah,
And that's very unforgiving because if you mess
right.
up,
And it's not, don't take this the wrong way. It's aggressive in a good way. I don't think it's
yeah,
bad. But that's pen and ink. I mean,
yeah,
I know that some of the best drawings early on in my career were done while I was on the phone. I was
yeah,
doodling. The idea came up and I was doodling. My mom did that. And I remember because, remember when we used to have things that were attached, the phones were attached to the wall.
yes.
And some of the old houses, like in the old house in Detroit that we had, there was a dining room that had a little niche in it. And these niches were for the telephone. And a
Mhm.
lot of the old architecture, they still have, they might have them where you're at. And my mom would sit there with the phone and she would draw. I remember the sketches
That's
that she would
cool.
do, but I don't know. There's something about it. It's like I write it really, and when I used to drive a lot, I don't drive as much as I used to just
Mhm.
because of the logistics of everything now. But I used to write in my head, while I was driving, I could work through a ton of stories. I don't know. There's something about that. I don't know. It's a weird thing that your mind gets into, your brain gets into a certain state
Yeah.
and you can do other things. Women are really good at that. I have to say, you guys multitask like no other. Chris is amazing. I really can't do
Yeah.
that. I can drive and think about writing, but it doesn't usually pan out that way. Um, okay. So what's the next thing then? What's the next con? What's the next, What are you gonna?
Mm,
What are you doing? What do you think you want to do?
the next con is going to be Geek Meet Indie
Okay.
by the people who bring Indiana Pop Toy and Comic Expo. That's the next one. That one's in March.
Okay.
Um, as far as projects, I think it's getting on finishing this children's book.
Good. That's good. How many pages is that going to be?
Oh
The
gosh, I think I got like 16 to 17 illustrations.
Okay, that's good.
Um,
And do they have a
that
name for the? You have a name for the book yet, or did
I Want to Live
Lacey?
at the Zoo, it's called.
It is okay. That's right. I
Yeah.
remember saying that now. And you guys can
Uh,
check back on the past videos because Lacey did a really good job on that interview
oh yeah.
on TED Talks. Yep.
And then another project I got coming up is I'm doing a cover art for author Stephen O'Pry. I met him at RaptorCon last year.
Oh,
He
cool.
does like zombie apocalypse survival stories.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that's good. That should be good for you. That should be
yeah,
fun. I think that'll be cool. You don't have any sketches yet, right? You can't.
not yet, no.
Damn. Okay. I tried.
But I
Well,
like doing the cover arts. Those are nice. I hope to keep doing those.
yeah.
Um,
It's always
and
nice
more
being asked
freelance
to.
work.
It's always nice being asked to do a cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate in that. People have been very, very, very nice and kind for letting me do their covers and stuff.
Oh,
But
yes.
um, yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you got some things happening. I wish you good health to
Thank
you and
you.
your
You
family
too.
this year and much success. You're going to do just fine, I'm sure. And I'm looking
Thank
forward to
you.
the book coming out. Yeah, and then what we'll do is I'm going to bring you up, tell everybody where everybody can meet or find your work, and then we'll also post it in the description too when this airs.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at www.instagram.com/candice.comelleri.artist. And then my Facebook is Art of Candice Comelleri.
Okay, very good. And I think you're on all my pages too. We're
Yeah.
friends on Facebook and all of it. So, yeah, so check out everything that we're doing with that. And you can, like I said, you can find it, Candace, through my pages too. So if
Yeah.
there's anything, I appreciate your time. You
I
rock. Stick
appreciate
around.
yours.
Oh, my pleasure. Stick around. I'm going to end the broadcast,
Okay.
but we will talk in a minute. Thanks
Sure.
again, Candace. Okay, so there you got it, guys. If you're an inspiring artist or a creator, follow some of the things that she's saying because there's some. uh, This is tangible things that you can do as a creative. I don't think that there's I don't think there's anything worse than having inspiration and not doing something with it because I think that the world is better for it when we're inspired. Check out everything that we're doing on Ted Davies Artistry. We got a lot going on this week. We also have From the Trenches of Hollywood podcast that Craig Hall in Hollywood and I are doing, and it's an awesome structured uh, podcast about writing and taking your idea to script and then being ready to pitch it to some of the movie makers out there in Hollywood. So check out everything that we're doing on From the Trenches of Hollywood. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and it would be awesome for you guys to follow us. Thank you again for stopping in, and we will see you very, very soon. I know that we got a few other things happening right now, but it is going to be a good time for you to start creating. And be safe. No envy, no fear. We'll talk to you soon.